Thanks for that. Yeah, welcome everybody that has just joined. This is 2 minutes past 5. I would say we should give it a couple more seconds. We have 9 people in currently. A couple more seconds while I do introductions. So let me take us through our agenda for today. We'll do welcome. I will tell you a bit about Energize Black. We'll do a short intro into our wonderful speaker for today. Then we'll go into the agenda that we have set. So CV and cover letter overview, the interview process, and a live CV review. Also Q&A at the end. All right. Before we get started proper, I'd like to introduce Energize Black. So we're a dedicated community. Our main goal is just to create a transformative community where Black and Indigenous professionals in the energy sector can thrive, contribute, collaborate to the industry's growth and innovation. And how do we do this? We do this through empowerment, collaboration, and multiple initiatives to shape the future where energy sector reflects the richness of our own global community. So no matter what we look like. Currently, we have 600 plus members in the UK, the Caribbean, and Sub-Saharan Africa that make up this rich network of professionals in the energy industry. And a bit more about our work. So we have 3 major thematic areas, and which are Get Hired, Swift, and Collab Quest. So all these thematic areas have a main goal of promoting equity, career development, and leadership opportunities in the energy industry. And today's session is brought to you by Get Hired, which is one of the thematic areas. Let's see. Next slide. Yeah. So our 600 plus members span sectors like renewables, climate, finance, policy, consulting, whatever you can think of within the energy sector. And most of our members span incredible companies or leading energy companies such as National Grid, OVO, Turner and Townsend, BP, just to mention a few. And we have different individuals from these companies bringing a wealth of expertise, insights, experience to share and just make sure everybody is getting up to where they need to be within our community. So if this is your very first time in one of our events, we want to wish you a very welcome. We're excited to have you here and we hope you enjoy today's session. So welcome everybody once again, for everybody that's joined after I started the introduction. Okay, so over the course of the session, we're going to have time for you to ask questions to our incredible speaker. So you can scan the QR code and join our Slido link. Let me see if I can send the link to the chat as well. So you can keep this handy during the session. So you can send in your questions that you'd like to ask Hamid to go over. So keep that handy. I'll also send it during the session as well so that we can have a reminder that we can send in questions. Yeah, let me just confirm that Hamid is on the call. Yes. Okay, so a brief introduction into our speaker for today. We're excited to bring on board Hammed Kayode Alabi, who is a EdTech leader, a TEDx speaker, and a social entrepreneur. He's also a poet, an author, and somebody who is deeply passionate about youth empowerment. So that's why we specially selected him to take on this session today. So Hamid brings a wealth of knowledge, practical insights on career growth, employability, and strategies just to help you stand out in today's competitive job market. So I hope you're excited to hear all the nuggets and practical insights that he has to share. Be attentive. You can also still share this link to somebody that you know will benefit from this, because we're just 6 minutes in and Hamid has enough time today to get through all the practical insights we have in store for you. So Hamid, we're thrilled to have you today. Please go ahead and take the stage.
Thank you so much. Can people hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. It's great to be here and it's great to run the session today. Thanks everyone for joining. I think I will need to share my screen now.
Yeah, you can.
So thank you so much. And I'll be walking you through today's session. I'm trying to find Okay, okay, I think I can find it. I'm not sure if this is the right one though, but oh no, I think I've shared the wrong one. Is it this one? Okay, I think I can still use this one, right? Yeah, I think it's the same. Cool. Yeah, so yeah, happy to be here and happy to talk through, this topic today. So I'll be sharing many things from my own experiences, and I'll be also like, I'll be showing you my CV and what I think, is very important for you to have, in today's workforce or in today's workspace. I think before I kind of like go even into the CV or into what, a good CV should look like, or what a good cover letter should look like, or, what employers are looking for. I think it's very important for you to understand who you are and for you to understand your story. And, one of the things that I see people make mistake of is because they don't understand who they are. When I go into interviews or when I interview people and I tell them, tell me about yourself, and they are struggling to answer that question, I noticed that the reason why they can't answer is because they've not understand what their story is, what their journey is. And I think, as an individual, it's very important for you to know where you're coming from. It's your story doesn't mean you can tell it. And I think it's very important for us to sit down and reflect on every bit of our story, every bit of our journey, and see how all of those experiences, all of those stories, all of those moments, right, shapes who we are and shapes the kind of job we are looking for. Because it's not just wanting to start looking for a job. It's not wanting to say that I want to get a job. It's also that you're also finding meaning in the job that you're looking for. And you want to make sure that that meaning aligns with your own experience, aligns with your own values, and aligns with who you are. But how do you find that meaning? How do you find a job that is aligned with who you are or your values? It's through, your own story. It's through digging deep into your own story, digging deep into your own core, digging deep into your own purpose, even digging deep into your own why. I've been in the UK for the past 5 years. I've worked with about 3 to 4 companies. I have done multiple other contract roles. And, whenever I do all of those roles, all of those work, or I go into the interviews for those jobs, one of the things that I always try to do is to make sure that does the job actually align with who I am as a person, or does it align with my own experiences, right? So if, for example, some of you are going into the energy sector, like why the energy sector? What's your own experience? What's your own story that makes you want to go into that sector in the first place? And I think that story, those experiences becomes your entry point into actually writing a very good CV, or become your entry point into shining in an interview, or becomes even your entry point into writing a good cover letter. So I just want to set that background that, if you don't know your story, it's very important for you to like, think about what your story is and think about, who you are, your own identity in between this process, and make sure you're wearing those stories, those identity, those things you found valuable, your experiences, things you've done, you're wearing them with confidence as well as you go through the journey of finding a job or landing a job or transitioning into a different or new job. So my work as well, I know SM mentioned all of the things that I do, but I work with the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program here at the University of Edinburgh as a transitions coordinator. So one of my job is to also like support, scholars, African scholars, or African students who come into the UK transition into dignified and meaningful work. And we did a survey recently about, what are I kind of like analyzed several job description, remote job description, the ones in the UK, kind of like just analyze multiple different job description. And, one of the things that I started noticing that employers need in today's workforce is, one is analytical and artificial intelligence skills. That every job that I was seeing, they need somebody who is analytical. Could you look at, complex data and analyze them? Do you have an awareness of AI to actually do this work? Whether it's storytelling, whether it's energy, whether it's carbon management, whether it's carbon capture, there's a sort of like kind of like analytical skills that is needed to run those work. And you just having a basic analytical skills, I think it's very important now. being able to, in fact, in terms of analytical skills, I have prepared people for mock interviews and they will give them like a kind of like a crazy scenario to answer. And one of the ways to answer those scenarios is using analytical skills. So if you cannot analyze data, you cannot use like big picture. Okay, what's the big picture here? What's the big picture thinking? What does that mean? And kind of like start piecing them together, looking at the data that is chaotic or looking at information that is chaotic and then trying to simplify those chaotic information. And what are your experiences that you have in your own work and in things that you've done that you can use to demonstrate those analytical and artificial intelligence skills. I think these are like, one key skills that I've seen in every job description that they were asking for. Data skills is another thing that people were looking for. Could you, write, look at large data and write narratives through those data. So when you're looking at data, you're writing narrative. Even me as a transitions coordinator, I have to write narrative reports. So every moment as I'm doing my job, I'm tracking, the numbers of scholars I'm working with, the numbers of scholars who have gotten a job, those who have not gotten a job, those who are struggling. What do they need? You need that data skills to be able to be like, what are the key data skills do I need, also some, then you have to think about the tools as well, right? Do I actually have the tools to do this job? So every sector, I've gotten the tools that they use, for their jobs, from Trello boards to Monday.com to, whatever tools that people use, to mirror board or many other different tools is like, what are the tools for your sector? And, and what are the tools for data analysis, for example, Excel, for example, and all of those things. And how does those intersect, and how does even data and analytical and artificial intelligence skills also intersect? So, do you have experiences doing this as well? Another key skills is like human skills, which is leadership and management skills. When you think about all of this, is like, there's this idea around self-management. Are you someone who is independent, who can get things done? Obviously, you can ask questions if you need help, but are you somebody who can actually like go on and take initiative and do things? Because some of the interviews will be testing all of those initiatives. Can this person take initiative beyond having the technical skills? Do you have the competencies to do the job? Do you have the competencies to work in a team? Do you have the competencies to like, if you're looking at managerial role to manage somebody else? Because managing other people is like, it's difficult, right? It requires leadership. Do you have all of those skills and do you have experiences as well in that line and in that area? And the other one is like project management skills. Can you manage, big projects? You're working with different stakeholders. One of the things that I'm beginning to realize, nowadays in the roles that we are seeing is that roles are now interdisciplinary. It means that one discipline cannot solve a particular problem, so multiple disciplines have to come together. So you're seeing, now you're seeing, in fact, there's, Gen AI business manager, which means if you're a Gen AI business manager, first you have to know a Gen AI product work, and then you have to be, a business manager as well in between. So you have to also know how business works. So in this area of interdisciplinary, and managing different stakeholders within the ecosystem, it's very important for us to honor our project management skills. And every job requires that, have you run a project before or have you led a project before? So these are like, top skills that I've been seeing from my own experiences. And I think, looking at all of these skills is very important for you to now think about what can you do in your own work. So because one of the things is that I do what we call skill map. So you look at the skills, what are the skills that are needed to get into the sector you want to get to, or to get a role, or to land a role, or transition from your job to another job? What are the skills that I need to get there? What are the gaps that I'm currently facing? What are the things that I need to do to get to that? So you give yourself a kind of like a timeline. So maybe, for example, I need to volunteer somewhere. I need to do independent projects. I need to do freelance consulting. All of these things are things that you need to think about. And you see, to be honest, sometimes you might have the experience, or are they proximal experiences? Because there's something about proximal experiences. We don't know that we have an experience that are close to the job description to get the job done. And these things are called proximal experiences. I was talking to somebody some days ago. They were working on their CV and they've done several communication supports for like, their friends. And I'm like, why are you not putting it in your CV? You're a freelance communication consultant. Even though you're working with your friends, that's a freelance communication consultant, because if you don't want to leave a gap within your CV, if there are things you've done that might seem to be voluntary, you can say you're a freelance communication expert or a freelance carbon support expert. So again, like I said, we all have a story. It's reflecting on that story and finding the right words, or freelance sustainability experts or consultants, for example. And what that does is that it gives you a kind of like an edge. And obviously, you're not lying, you're doing it. If you're doing it, but you're doing it for free, you could call yourself a freelance guy, or you're just doing it for like other people. So you could call yourself a freelance, let's take, for example, I don't have a job at this moment, and I'm doing this session for everybody. I'm running all of this session. I would say I'm a freelance career advisor. You know, that's what I'm going to say, that I'm a freelance career advisor, and I can then say, oh, I've run 10 sessions, 50 sessions, and all of those things. So what are the things that you need to do when you think about your CV? First and first, you need to reflect on your previous experiences and how it aligns with the role or job you're applying to. Most of the time, people just submit anyhow CV. They're just like throwing CV out, and you're doing, it's like uh, you're gambling, with the CV. You just submit, oh, this job, I'm submitting the CV, but not every CV is the same for every job. So you have to understand, does your previous experience aligns with the job, or what are the aspects of your previous experiences that aligns with the job, so you can re-edit your CV and define it to the way that it aligns with the job. And thank God we have GPT, and we have several other AI tools that you can use for this, where you can upload your CV, you upload a job description, and then you say, based on this, please can you rejig my CV in a way that it aligns with this job that I'm applying to. I think there's one thing that is very important when you're writing the CV or a cover letter is to reflect on your previous experiences and share how it aligns with the role or job you're applying to. So, what are the key things you need to have on your CV? One of the things that I've seen from the CVs that I've reviewed. Oh, can people see my slides? Or have I just been talking?
We can see your slides, but it wasn't on the same slide you were speaking to earlier. But it's okay. It's fine. You can go ahead.
Can people see it? Like, I'm just trying to.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Um, okay. Wait, let me see. Okay, cool. I can see people are saying yes. So cool. For example, one of the things that I realized with CVs that I started reviewing was that people mostly talk about their job, what they do in their previous experience. They talk about like, okay, this is the description of my job, which is good, which is great, but they used to fail to talk about their achievements, and they used to fail to talk about the impact on the job, and they used to fail to like quantify and qualify those experiences and those impacts, for example. So if you're thinking about a particular aspect of your CV, like of your job, like how many hours did you work on that job, that's something to quantify. But most times we don't talk about that, right? So there was a CV I wrote where I said, spent 1,300 hours providing career advice or career support for this. Spent 1,500 hours working on this machine to build so and so and so. So in fact, if you want to be like me, sometimes, I can convert the hours to minutes. And then you could say spent, 10,000 minutes or 50,000 minutes working on so and so. So one of the ways you could quantify your work is also using hours, to qualify those experiences as well, to show that these are the efforts. Because what you're trying to measure there is that you're trying to measure the efforts you've put into the experiences that you're working on or that you're building. Another thing is that how many years have you spent on the job? So built so products, within the period of 5 years. Works on 50 products, or within the period of 5 years, or 10 years, or 15 years, or 52 months, or 12 months, or 12 weeks. So again, you can, convert, your experience into years and blend it into your description. Percentages as well, right? When you came in to your role. And I think this is important, right? Beyond um, just applying for a job, if you're working on any job, track your impacts on the job. I have a tracker for my job. Like I literally track almost every single thing that I'm doing, right? I have a tracker where I can track the number of calls I'm having, the number of career calls I'm having, the number of CV I've reviewed, the number of cover letters I've done, the number of mock interviews I've done. Once you have all of those track, it allows you to see that when you joined, what was the baseline, right? So you look at the baseline from when you've joined and when you're leaving, what has changed? What are the percentages between those things that have changed? And also you look at the company metrics as well. So if, for example, there was an increase in revenue within the company, or there was an increase in something within the company by 50% or by 90%, that also becomes your data if you also contribute to that as well. So you think about like, worked on a solar panel, blah, 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 that increased revenue by, design a customer strategy for 50 of our clients that increase their engagement by 50% or by 60%. Obviously, you shouldn't use percentage if you don't have the data. So because I wouldn't advise you to lie as well on your CV. Daily reach, how many people are you reaching daily? So for example, are you engaging with at least 15 clients every day or 50 clients every day? So you could say engaged with 50 clients every day to provide quality sustainability assurance to them, totaling, 50,000 hours worth of consultation. Again, you're like kind of like connecting all of those together. Monthly reach, you think about how many people are you reaching monthly, how many, support are you giving monthly, weekly reach, is also something to track. And you can also track money raised, are you part of a project that attracted an investment as well? So investment of $50 million, $20 million, $10 million, £1 million, so are you part of that process as well? And I think it's also important for you to think about anything that can be measured.
Hi, Amit. Sorry, your slides are stuck. It looks like you're on the cover letter page.
I wait, I am seeing it on my hand. I don't know what is happening here.
Yeah, it's frozen. We're still on the cover letter page here. I
Wait,
can share the slides from my end.
no,
Now,
I don't know what is happening. Just give me a moment. Let me see because no, no.
Sorry, I mean, I think it's preferred if she shares a slide so that she's able to control and people can see.
Because is it for me to control that way? But okay, yeah, that's fine. I think you should share from your end. But because once I get to the CV part,
yeah,
I'd like
I
to share.
want over to you.
Yeah,
You
okay,
can just let me know. Yeah.
okay, cool.
But can someone confirm if they can see the slides up now? It's all
Yeah,
right.
so I guess you've gotten the message of the things I've been trying to talk about anyways. So converting all your experience into like hours, years, percentage, daily reach, monthly reach, weekly reach, or any money you've raised, and also think about anything that you can measure. Like if there's anything within your experience that can be measured, these are things that you can write in your job description as well. Next slide. Another thing that most people don't talk about in their CV is also the top skills. So when you look at each job that you've done, they are like skills that you develop on that job. And those skills are the skills that employers are looking for you to be able to do another job as well. And sometimes if they are screening your CV through the ATS, ATS can pick some of these top skills, right? So what I used to do, which you will see in my CV, is that every job description or every job that I'm putting has a top skills. So it means that, some people will put like the top skills at the top, some people do it differently, some people put it at the bottom. But for me, I put it like with the job. So I'll be like, this is the job, these are the top skills, it's going to be somewhere at the top or on the side. These are the top skills that I've developed on this job so that, they can actually see an alignment because people don't waste time reading your CV. Like I could read a CV, I did review recently for a role, we're recruiting for a role and I was one of the reviewers. It didn't take me 1 minute to read the CVs. Like I literally checked the CV and I was like, okay, this one can do the job. This one is just trying to think that they can do the job, but they can't do it. And I could make my decision quickly, right? So you want to be able to like make sure that you have all of those key points within your CV as well. Also, courses, are there relevant courses you've done? Don't just throw them away, also put them on your CV. Are there awards, that you've won that are relevant to the role? You could also have them because sometimes, again, there are things around that where people are biased by, the name of the awards you've gotten sometimes. So if you have a prestigious award and it's prestigious, not just any award, because I feel like, people might start putting the award that they receive somewhere, not just any award. I just want to note that. So it has to be prestigious. And do you also have like any kind of like international exploits? These are just like extras, right? But the main thing in your CV is the job description. Like that's what people use to make decision as well. Yeah, I think I'll be sharing my own CV and then I'll go to cover letter later, if that's okay. So I'll be sharing my screen now. Um, I don't know when last I've reviewed the CV. So if you cannot see my screen, please let me know. Oh no. Wait, what are you seeing? Can you see the CV?
Yes, it's in Microsoft Word, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's in Microsoft Word. Yeah. So this is like a full CV. You will see the title. It's a full CV. And the reason why I made it a full CV is that I have like a full CV that I can edit. So I can turn it to like 2 pages, 3 pages, 4 pages, 5 pages, 10 pages, 7, depending on what I'm applying to. But I decided to have it in full because I think I want to have an overview of some of my experiences, right? And I think it's good for you to have a full CV that you can always adjust based on the job you're applying to, and then have a smaller chunk of like 2 pages or 3 pages, right? Because, or even a page, because you don't want to start bombarding people. But depending again on the role you're applying to, personally, I don't follow rules. But I know there are some people who tell you you just want 2 pages or 3 pages or a page CV. But I think, most of the things I've heard is that, 2 pages is fine. So keeping it as that. Just for me, I just wanted to have a full picture. And the reason why I'm sharing this full CV is just to show you a full picture of what my CV looks like and the information that are there as well. So when you look at, and I'll be doing like a live review as well. I don't know how many of you have sent your CV, but I also do like a kind of like a live review. Um, so in my CV here, my name directly, my email address that is clickable so that they can reach out to me directly, my phone number, and my link to my LinkedIn. Because another thing is that your LinkedIn is like, your CV is like a working CV. And all of the experiences that you can put, or even your thoughts that you can put on your CV, there are some certain things about you that cannot make it to the CV. That's why where LinkedIn is important, right? All of those other things can make it to the LinkedIn and they can do further research and read about you. I've seen a moment where, whenever a recruiter or maybe I applied for a program and somebody goes through my LinkedIn, I'm like, it seems I'm nearly there. There's that feeling I have because they check your LinkedIn and it's like, oh, it's solid, right? But if your LinkedIn isn't solid, I would advise you not to put the link because then it can backfire. So, but if you think you have a very good LinkedIn and, you have, more experiences there, you can share your LinkedIn. And I don't know if you guys will be having a session on LinkedIn in the future, but I think that's a session that should be also, having a good LinkedIn. So you could see I didn't put my address, I leave that for cover letter. I didn't put like my nationality. I didn't put, other information that might not be necessary. I just kind of like put my name, my email address, the top, that's the headline. Also, what I see in most of the CVs that people write a professional summary. It's okay, it's fine, but sometimes I can find professional summary actually bulky. So what I did was to go straight to the point and highlight, the key things that makes me stand out. So for example, I said A factor, what's my A factor? What makes me stand out? 17 years of experience in volunteering and active citizenship, 12 years of experience in the nonprofit sector. It could be different for you, but because that's my own area of work, it was important for me to highlight those years of experience doing that work. What is my career path? So I wanted people to know that this is the path that I'm heading towards. So I'm interested in human capital development. I'm interested in education technology and development. I'm interested in nonprofit management, and I'm also interested in social innovation. So that's like my career path as well. So I will not apply for things, that doesn't align with all of these parts, because a job is actually leading to a particular career path as well. And my top skills, what are my top skills? Like I said, you want to quickly highlight some key top skills quickly. So for me, it's product management and ownership, so I've been able to build two products through my work. Social research, I love conducting social research. And kind of like, as I engage in the work, I'm like collecting like lived data or live data. I love storytelling, so I love to tell stories. I love facilitation. I love fundraising, and I love youth mentoring. So again, depending on the job I'm applying to, I can switch all of this together. So that's why I said, you can always create a space to review your CV where you can change things. So if I'm applying for a particular role, I could move these things around, right? And I could change them. So again, I went to my education straight away, my bachelor's degree. I highlighted my CGPA because it was good. But if you don't have a very strong CGPA, I would also advise not to put that, because then that can be counted against you. And then I looked at the other side, and it was like achievements, when I was a student. So I was a university scholar, 2013, 2014, 2014, 2015. I was the best graduating student in my department. I did free tutorials. I was also an electoral officer. So I wanted to highlight my leadership potential quickly, in the education as well. And then I did MSc African International Development at the University of Edinburgh. And then I wanted to also highlight the achievements on that program. Again, for example, I highlighted MasterCard Foundation Scholarship, winner of Africa's Leadership Competition. I got the Edinburgh MasterCard Foundation Transformative Leadership Award, and I got the Edinburgh Award for Professional Development. So I wanted to highlight this quickly as well. I think somebody is, okay, yeah, thank you for muting the person. So and then you go straight to your work experience. You see, these are important, but the most important part of your CV is your work experience. And most of the time, I notice that I read people's CV and I'm seeing work experience in the second page. And I'm like, that's the most important part of your CV. Like, you're already making a decision already from, your work experience and from what they see. So your work experience is the most, important part of your CV. And so this is so I put, the year, the place I work, and the job I do, transitions coordinator, Edinburgh, United Kingdom. So one of the things is that if you think that location might put you at disadvantage, you don't need to put it there. But I decided to put it there because I wanted to show that, I've had several experiences in different countries, and I wanted, or in different cities, and I wanted to feel like I'm diverse in a way, right? And I wanted to show that. And I have top skills, like I said, for my each job experience, I'm always having top skills on the side. So on this job, I've done product design, I've done program development, I've done career coaching, data analysis, I put all of those on the side, and I then go into my experiences. So you see, when I was talking about using numbers, your experiences, that you're describing what you do, but in between, you're also talking about your achievements and impact on the work. So I was qualifying and quantifying my experiences at the same time. So you see here, I said develop transition strategy and ecosystem to support over 500 scholars, alumni, and scholars to transition into dignified and meaningful work. So you could see that I didn't just talk about develop transition strategy and ecosystem to support scholars and the scholars community. I talked about like the numbers and what they are transitioning into, right? Design, created, and launched the transitions portal, where more than 150 scholars currently assess weekly opportunities and resources around transition. Currently, more than 3,600 opportunities have been shared with over 5,100 views. So again, if I'm applying for a role that requires me managing some of their websites or creating a portal or kind of like a technical thing, it is clear that I can do that by just sharing this, right? So, and it's gotten the number of views and the number of engagements as well. So again, provide career guidance and advice to more than 140 scholars and alumni in the last 1 year, leading to engagement within the scholars community by 80%. So, like this is where I was talking about, like, what is the baseline from when you're joining and, how have you improved that upon that, on the job. So for example, I was the first person to do this work. Nobody has done it before me. So I'm able to define what their engagement actually looks like. Create monitoring and evaluation mechanism to receive feedback from more than 500 scholars and scholars alumni within the scholars community and share learning within the scholars and the University of Edinburgh community. So for example, if the job requires me to do monitoring and evaluation, this already is like highlighting those key skills. So what you're also doing on your CV, you're not just writing description, you're also creating a pathway to highlight some of the key skills that shows that you can actually do the job. So if, for example, you're applying for like a monitoring and evaluation expert or a sustainability evaluation something, you want to highlight those relevant experiences, right? Lead and work the development and alumni team to run the mentoring program where more than 150 scholars are matched with University of Edinburgh alumni for career support and guidance. You can see I was making sure that I put numbers, in every of those things. Develop proposal and ideas to engage over 350 members of the alumni community and initialize the first alumni steering committee. So again, if, I'm applying for something that is a community manager, or, community management role, I'm trying to realize that I can do some of these things already. Develop initiatives such as the body schemes, expert session and seminars, blah, 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 and manage partnerships, transitions budgets of hundreds of thousands of dollars over the next 6 years and develop proposals to support scholars and alumni transition into meaningful and dignified jobs. So I actually put this there, right? So manage partnership is one kind of like, skills as well, right? You remember when I said what are employers looking for in the beginning, from those who were there from the beginning, what I was saying was that you need to have project management skills, right? So if I'm saying I'm managing partnership, I'm managing budgets, I'm already showcasing that I could actually manage projects, right? Through that means. Are we together? Are we following? I want to know. You can put yes in the chat if you are together and following, so that I know that we are together and you can hear me. Cool. I can see the chat. Awesome. Yeah, cool, awesome. So now let's, so again, this is another role, which I'm a founder. Most of the time people say, oh, if you're a founder, it would go against you. Don't put it on your CV. Could be for some people, right? But if you're scared of putting a founder in your job description, I think it's very important. You can say maybe team lead. So if you're founded something and you're struggling to say, oh, I don't want them to know as a founder, maybe it might count against me in my interview or in my, search, because people might think, oh, if you're a founder, you're not commit to the job. Either you remove it if you're not comfortable, or you put it that you're a team lead. But I think for me, I wanted to show that, again, like I said, what I'm applying for, I'm trying to show that I'm a diverse person, right? I can do multiple things. And yeah, this job requires me to like develop products, user stories, and many other things. And I wanted to highlight that. So I won't go into that because I didn't have like any kind of numbers attached to this. This is also another role as well. So in this case, you will see the way I wrote my job description. So this was Refugee Education UK, I was Senior Educational Mentoring Coordinator. So what I said here, I connect young refugees. So now it should have been connected because it's done, right? It's been, so I will have to correct all of this. So it should have been connected, sustained, and build relationships. So because also you want to pay attention to your tenses as well. So connected young refugees and asylum seekers, and I could say connectors, I think that should be fine, between the ages of 14 to 25. So you can see I'm highlighting the age to volunteer mentors for 1 hour per week of educational support and mentoring. So 1 hour per week. So I'm not just saying that I connect young refugees to mentors for educational support and mentoring. I connect refugees between the ages of so to volunteer mentors for 1 hour per week of educational support and mentoring. So you can see the way I'm using, numbers in that regard as well. There was a place where I talked about safeguarding, because safeguarding might be some key skills needed for a particular job. So I'm like, I keep and secure data of volunteers and young people we work with and ensure the safeguarding. So it's not just about also writing the description, it's also paying attention to the keywords and the person specification and the job description, because every job has gotten a person specification, and I've also gotten a JD, a job description. So you're making sure you're paying attention to the terms on those jobs as well. So these are some other roles. This is a role I did with British Red Cross. So I said, again, you will look at the beginning year. Let me highlight it. Developed weekly session plans and trips for the refugees and befriending project that allows young refugees and asylum seekers in Hammersmith, West London. So I put the area and environs to develop life skills and confidence within the period of 12 months. So what I have shown there is that I'm showing that I'm using the monthly metric, that within the period of 12 months, these were the things that I was doing. So I was doing weekly sessions. So somebody's already thinking weekly session in 12 months, right? So they're like, okay, you can run so if I'm applying for a facilitator's job, for example, these are things I want to highlight in between. If I'm thinking of managing people, so I manage a volunteer and a project assistant to deliver weekly sessions and to enrich the experience of young refugees and asylum seekers who attend the project. So what I'm trying to do here is that I'm trying to communicate my management skills, monitor and evaluate programs with young people to achieve key performance indicators. So again, monitoring and evaluation, and you would see that, all of those things are highlighted in the top skills here, right, on the side. So every job for me has gotten like a top skills on the side. So for those who are like in university or who are running their masters and who are thinking of like maybe during their masters, they are working on like independent projects, or they are connected to an organization and they are working on a project and they are struggling that this project does not have a name, and I don't know what to call it. So when I was writing my thesis, I worked with the MasterCard Foundation to do that. They didn't give me a name. They didn't give me a name. So I gave myself a name. I gave myself a placement-based dissertation researcher. So it was funny, you know. So you could say you're a dissertation researcher, you're a kind of like, depending on the organization you're working with. I give myself that I'm a researcher. Sometimes I could even change the researcher to fellow. But I actually worked with the organization and I wrote, the things that I did. Because all of these experiences, because I was like, oh, if I don't know the people that are here, but if, for example, you're in the UK and you're looking for like a UK-based opportunities, right? So you could say that I wanted a UK experience, and I'm like, okay, my dissertation could be an opportunity to say that I have done that work. So I did Edinburgh and Uganda, and I wanted to connect, the two together. So this is where location then now becomes important on the CV as well. This is one of my favorite role. This particular role is a role that I would never remove from my CV because I did the largest work here. Like, I don't think I've worked hard in any job like I did on this job. And it was for an organization based in the United States. I was working remotely. If I'm targeting a remote role, I think I'm going to like put it here, remote as well. Like I will come here and I just put remote. So, or I can come here and I can add, remote here, right? So that they can know that it's remote as well, right? Especially if you're looking for remote friendly roles. So what did I say I did on this job? So this is how you can communicate impact. So this job particular shows you how, like, some of the things I've shared, led and grew peaceful.org digital product to more than 30 plus countries in Sub-Saharan Africa, leading to over 1,500 plus project signups, and supported, compared to 283, about 335% increase compared to the previous year. So what I'm trying to say is that, when I joined, there was 283 projects. By the time I was leaving, we had 1,500 plus projects sign up. And the percentage of that was 335% increase compared to the previous year. So you can see the way I'm weaving numbers together. And that's why I think, like I said again, have a baseline. What are the existing data before you start a role? Track your progress along the journey so that when you're leaving or when you're looking for a new opportunity, you're able to communicate what your impact is. I also calculated the number of hours. I was so petty like that I calculated the number of hours that I was working, right? I tracked my hours of coaching that I did and mentoring. So I said offered 1,920 plus hours of online coaching and mentoring to 1,500 plus young people, creating projects on peaceful.org platform. This was a work that I was actually doing like 7 to 12 every day almost sometimes. So I'm like, I have to actually track the hours that I'm working, It might seem that they might not pay me for those hours, but I have to also use it to my own advantage. Manage regional budgets, manage regional budgets and onboarded partners to scale our products. I could say manage regional budgets of up to $200,000 if that's the case, and onboarded 50 partners to scale our product and organizing more than 50 online community building events. So again, if I want to add numbers there, develops the digital fraud detection framework, guide and policy to reduce fraud rates on our platform and scare away cyber criminals through rigorous verification check, and save the organization $6,500. So again, I can add that to the mix as well, right? Just to show that this is because I created this policy framework, I was able to reduce, the rate of fraud by this percent, and I saved the organization this amount of money. Invested $45,000 directly into the hands of young people who started social change projects on peaceful.org and impacted 68,395 plus people in their local community. So you can see the way I was playing around with numbers there. So don't just say that you're writing things and without actually communicating them with numbers. I think, you want to be able to quantify your experiences. These are my personal different experiences. This is for people who are Nigerians and who have done the National Youth Service. This is, I was a teacher and I was thinking of when I was teaching, right? How many minutes of teaching did I do every week? So I said, taught basic science and physical and health education to over 350 students and completed 600 minutes of teaching every week for a year. You can see the way I communicated that, right? It wasn't just like I was teaching, and then other things that I did within that. And yeah, I've gotten my professional qualifications and awards. Depending on what I'm applying to, I used to delete these ones and I would just leave it at experiences. And I will remove some really irrelevant experiences. So the reason why I have a full CV is to give me an overview, a picture of all my work in one place. But I can delete things. I used to delete things a lot. And there are some where I would just say okay, because that one doesn't require numbers or number of pages, I will say, okay, maybe this one, I should submit everything. So again, it's intuition as well, right? You also look at your intuition, you look at what you're applying to, you look at the niche, is it a general role? Is it a specific role? Is it a general purpose role or is it a specific purpose role, right? And so you're using that, you're calculating, of how because all of this thing is also like you're calculating, you're thinking, you're paying attention in between. So these are some of my professional qualifications that I had, customer relationship, diploma. These are, and some awards here: African Talents of the Future, nominee education category SME 100, 25, under 25, nominee professional service, the Future Awards Africa, and winner, the principal medal, the University of Edinburgh. I have more things that I've not added there. And these are like achievements and international exploits. So I've been fellows of different programs and I wanted to showcase them. So for example, fellow of Salzburg Global, white card participant of Nudge Global in Netherlands, Brand Technical Party High Scholar, One Young World Summit in Montreal, Launchpad Accelerator participant at the London Business School, Sin Funding second prize winner at Western Union. So I wanted to like add, and I put their countries as well. Winner of Tanwi Mega Challenge Education Track. So it's like, if you're thinking of hiring me, you're like, okay, this guy also have like different kind of experiences as well. But again, I can remove it depending on what I'm applying to. If I'm applying for like a fellowship program, for example, I would submit my full CV because I want to put myself in the best light as possible. Yeah, so I have all of this, international recognition up until like 2017. If what I'm applying to has something to do with research, I'll put publications there. So this is a paper I wrote. If it doesn't have to do with publication, I'm going to remove all these things. Like I said, this is just full CV to give you a full picture. But if something has to do with research, this has to be there. Or if it has to do with some level of report writing, where they want you to write reports, do a report analysis, do a policy analysis, you want to be able to show that you've gotten some writings, right? So then the publication then becomes necessary. So these are some of the papers I've written. These are some of the blogs. If you click the link, it takes you to the blog that I've written. And I think, one of the things that you need to learn is, and I'm saying, I think beyond just talking about CV, I'm also trying to share, some key experiences in between. So you might think that, some of these experiences or some of the things that I've done, they just came to be. No, they didn't. Sometimes I'm the one that created the path for myself, right? To do those things. So for example, in my former organization at Refugee Education UK, they came to the organization, NORAG, it's like a education think tank, and they asked, the organization that they are looking for somebody who can write a blog. They think that it was a blog, but it was actually a paper. So my organization people said, oh, Ahmed loves storytelling. Ahmed likes to write. Let's give it to Ahmed. So they reached out to me and the organization gave it to me. It was when I heard from those guys, from those think tank, I noticed that it wasn't a blog, it was an article, it was a paper. I wanted to run away. I said, I'm not doing research again. So like, I'm not writing any paper. It's too complex. I don't want to do it. But I thought about it. I'm like, sometimes you do these things for yourself, right? Because if I write this paper, I own it. So I submitted the abstract. Before I knew it was accepted, I'm like, I was praying for this not to be accepted, but now it has been accepted. So I have to work and write the paper. So as I was writing the paper, I finished all the drafts, ended up writing the paper. So by the time I submitted the paper, they came back to me that they want to apply for a conference in Oxford, the think tank, that would I want to join? I said yes. So they submitted a joint paper to present at that conference. Before I knew, I was accepted. And our paper was accepted and I got a bursary award. I applied for the bursary. I won the bursary to present in Oxford. So when I was going to Oxford, then I wrote on LinkedIn when I got to Oxford that I'm in this conference to present this paper that I have written, right? And when I did that, somebody who is from UNESCO GEM Reports, it's like a think tank for UNESCO, reached out to me that this seems like an interesting paper. Do you want to write a blog for us? And I said yes. And that was how I was published by UNESCO, my reflection on that particular area, right? And it was just from like talking about the work on LinkedIn that I'm in this conference. that led to it. So it's like different things connecting together. And I think, one of the things that I've learned is that when you do things, it compounds by 1%. Me saying yes to that paper is that I've increased my chances of success by 1%. Me submitting an abstract, I've increased my chances by 1%. Me getting the bursary, I've increased my chance of success by 1%. Me sharing on LinkedIn that I'm presenting at this conference, I increased my chance of success by 1%. UNESCO guys reaching out to me to write a blog, I've increased my chance of success by 1%. And then you keep increasing and then it compounds. And all of those experiences are experiences that shapes what you say in interview or that ends up coming into your interview. Now I have this UNESCO blog that once they click it, they can read my thoughts. So they can see how I write and they can see that I've been published by UNESCO as well, right? The people who gave me the bursary also asked me to write a blog. I wrote the blog for them. In fact, there were multiple other people who wanted me to write a blog, but I said I'm tired, that I can't keep writing almost the same thing. My dissertation also makes a year. Some of the blogs I wrote, when I was in uni, when I was working on some research, they made a year. A mentoring toolkit I created, with the University of Edinburgh as a research assistant made it here. A policy analysis I did for South Africa. So again, you can create your own luck. You can always create your own opportunity. I did a policy analysis for Universal Basic Education Act in 2022. There was nowhere to publish it, so I published it on my LinkedIn. So when I published it on my LinkedIn, I shared it. And somebody from South Africa just reached out, do you want to publish this on our platform? And I said, yes. And that's how it was published on their platform. So again, by just sharing the whole thing and publishing myself through my own blog, I created my own chance of success by 1%. And this is my dissertation and books I've written and some of my dissertation and the conference where I have spoken at, and then referees available upon request. So this is what my full CV looks like. But depending on what I'm applying to, I can wipe from here. I will wipe from here like this. You will see me wiping them off the CV. Like I will literally wipe them off and then, make sure that I only have the major thing that I need on the CV as well. So that's my CV. I hope it gives you insight into creating a full CV that can be adjustable and that can be edited. So should we take question before I move to cover letter, or we'll take it at the end?
I think we can take a couple of questions now. We also have a couple of CVs that we've received for live review, but I'm conscious that we're almost at time. But
Okay.
1 sec, let me share my screen.
Yeah. So nice. Yeah, I used to work at Peace First. I'm a board member. I gave multiple grants when I was there.
Okay. I think. Let me know if my screen is up.
Yeah, cool.
So this is a CV that we've received.
Okay, cool. Can I start reviewing?
Yes, please.
Okay, cool. So great one. I think good headline, maybe to remove the address and put that on your cover letter instead. Because again, you don't also, so maybe just not to have it crowded. So for example, in your summary, you need to also think about your achievements, like what makes you stand out in your summary. You just don't want to write a summary. So result-driven operation and supply chain professional with proven experience in operations management, logistics, coordination, and project leadership. So I could say, with a 5 years of experience, or with a 5 years proven experience in operational management, logistics, coordination, and project leadership, working with customers or with a decade experience in operations management, logistic coordination, and project leadership. And so again, you want to make sure that you're having those years of experience, or with a combined 15 years of experience or proven experience in operations management, logistics, coordination, and project leadership, because you want somebody to read this summary quickly and know that you have years of experience already working in that area. Skilled at leading cross-functional teams, streamlining process and delivering scalable solutions that improve efficiency and customer experience. So that's cool. Proficient in data analytics and reporting tools. Yeah, this is cool to drive operational excellence and KPI performance. Adept at implementing process improvement and managing people to exceed business goals in a fast-paced, environment. I think that's fine. But if you want to maybe you've worked with like $10 million project, for example. Oh, so I can't go deep. I should not go deep. Okay, I'm sorry.
I have just 15 minutes left. So.
Yeah, so key skills. I think I like that. This is cool. Experiences, event and project coordination. Yeah, this is cool. So let's go to this. Spearhead end-to-end event operation, securing sponsorship from 5 partners, and leading conflict resolution that ensured smooth execution, of over, something again, add that to the mix. I think that is needed. I think there's numbers that needs to be fixed here. Coordinated cross-functional teams, coordinated cross-functional teams of 50, 10, worked with 500 suppliers or 50 suppliers, depending on the scale of the event, and more than 30 stakeholders, maintaining strict deadline and budgets. So you want to put numbers in those places. So where there are no numbers, you want to make sure those numbers are there. These other ones are okay because I could see the percentages here. Yeah, I think just fixing some of the numbers in all of those other roles and jobs. So facilitated customer requests. How many customer requests? Facilitated more than 50 customer requests in person. This is where I am. Ask for global. So facilitated customer requests. Almost 50, in person and over the phone, daily. Because you want to make sure that you're, in fact, or you could say, spend, 500 hours facilitating more than 50 customer requests in person and over the phone. So you want to make sure that the numbers are also in those areas as well. So it's just fixing the numbers in between. So I think this is cool. Can we go up into the education? Yeah, I think this is okay. If there's anything you want to add to the education, if there's anything that is, unique about your education that you want to add, like I did, you could. But yeah, this is good. This is a good CV. This passed for me. But I think it can do better with the numbers and with qualifying your impact. And once you can qualify your impact and you can make sure that the summary at the top is solid, you're good to go.
Awesome. Thank you. I think we can just take a couple of
Questions?
questions. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let me take questions and then I can. Do I still have time to take through? I can't go through cover letter, but I can go through interviews, right?
I'm not sure we have. Let's go through a couple of questions and see how much time we have left.
Okay.
I think the first one is, can you share your interview experience on your first offer in the UK? And the second is, at what point did you know you were fully prepared for any interview?
I knew I was prepared from the day I arrived in this country. I think Chimamanda said something when she came to the UK recently and I asked her a question and he said, I asked her a question about finding your courage within this space. And she said something about centering yourself, from the beginning. Start as if you start as if you're at the center. And so if I would say when did I start preparing for my interview? I think it was from the day that I came in. I knew that my experience were valuable. I knew that my experiences were important. I never disqualified myself for any opportunities. Even though I was applying and some weren't coming through, what I did was also to um, think of where can I start from? Where can I get an entry point? Right. So those entry points then gave me leverage. to get other opportunities that I got. And actually, let me even share my first experience. My first experience was terrible because I I applied for I found a job through my dissertation. So I referenced an organization through my dissertation, and I was just playing around on their website, and I found two jobs. So those two jobs aligns with what I was writing in my dissertation. So I applied for the two roles. So I got into the final interview of the two. So the first one I did, I talked, I was very expressive, I was very happy, I was, sharing, and I got rejected. So I requested for feedback, and I think it's very important. If companies are willing to give feedback, I think you should ask. So I requested for feedback, and the person called me, and they said, "You're talking about how great you are, and you're not talking about how you can do the job." I was like, okay, I have always known myself to be expressive. I don't understand what you're trying to talk about. So, and then she said that I was also accepted in a way. And even though I felt like that was too much, saying that I was accepted, I'm like, okay, these guys, they have, this is a problem here. So what I did was, and she said, like, I know you're preparing for the second interview, blah, blah, blah. I said, fine, and I went to the second interview. I did the second interview as if I was a zombie. Like they will ask question and I'll just respond. I'll respond with examples, but I was talking, like as if I'm not interested, but gently. And I remember that there was a particular question where they would ask me, would you want to change anything? I've given the answer already. Oh, would you change anything if I said I would not change anything? I said this strategy has worked before and I believe it will work again. If this strategy can work in the former job that I've done, I think it will work again. And I believe that, the strategy works. And, in the former interview, I would say, oh, I will change something. So what I started doing also as well in interviews, I started saying things that I think as well. And I think that was helpful. I also think doing mock interview is also helpful, speaking with somebody else, familiarizing yourself with the questions, familiarizing yourself with like, you can go to ChatGPT, copy the job description, um, um, upload the document of the job description and person specification on ChatGPT, and then, write a prompt, like based on the experiences that people have shared about this job online, based on the information you can scramble on the website and everything about this job, can you generate 20 questions for me from this job? And for all of those, each 20 question, give two examples each from your experience. Like two example each from your experience. Like just write them down so that then you are aware of your responses and then you prepare with that. And you do a mock and then you get prepared so that you come to the interview fully prepared and ready to go. I've done it for my scholars. Like I work with like scholars through my job and I've done mock interviews. And when people don't land a job, they're either second. And most of the time they leave an impression as well. Because also you also don't want to fight the person who reject you first. Closed door doesn't mean closed opportunity. Now they know you, you can always apply to the company again and then you can get it. So my second try, I got the job. And that was how, the journey started from there. Um, how do I show transferable skills if I don't have direct work experience? Um, Volunteering, I think that's one way. So you put in your volunteering and then you write, the description of your volunteering work. And I think that's why it's important for you to track. You look at your proxima experiences, like I said, are you doing communications for your friend? Or are you doing communications for other people? You can call yourself a volunteer consultant. You can call yourself like, like give yourself a kind of like freelance thing and then put, your experiences there that connect that you can actually do the job. Convert your dissertation to an experience as well because it's a research piece of work. You can't throw that away.
Okay, thank you. I think that question is related to the next two ones. So, speaking about gaps in employment, I think you've kind of touched on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So it's volunteering. If you know that there's a gap, go volunteer, start working on something. If you have friends that have startups, start saying, "Can I do 2 hours a week with you?" Can I do 3 hours a week with you? Start building experiences, build your own portfolios. Like if there's a particular experience you don't have, do your own portfolio. Go and build your own portfolio. Like just be playing around with things, and you can call those things portfolios and freelance projects that you've actually worked on. And all of those things can then form the basis of your work history as well.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm conscious that we're short on time. So thank you so much for answering all the other questions. All right, quickly, I will just move to this slide instead.
Yeah, true. Follow your rights. Probably no more than 2 pages because you don't want to start writing rubbish on the CV as well. So you don't want to start writing things that are not necessary. You don't want to start writing, even cover letters. If you don't have a story to tell, a lot of story to tell, it's very important that you don't start writing things that are not relevant because that's going to backfire. You want to make sure that things that you're writing, you've gotten loads of experiences around it as well. So, experiences. Um,
Thank you for that. Um, can you confirm that you can hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Hamid. I'm sure everybody has found this insightful. And thank you, everybody, for joining. I hope you found the insights and practical session really engaging. And hopefully, this helps us in our job search or career search or whatever stage we are at currently. Alrighty. Yeah, to wrap us off, for those of us that joined late, this is Energize Black. Um, we're basically dedicated to creating a transformative community where Black and ethnic professionals in the energy sector or wanting to get into the energy sector can thrive, contribute, collaborate in the industry's growth and our growth at the end of the day. So we do this through empowerment, collaboration, and multiple initiatives such as this one to help shape a future where more of us are in the energy space and making a difference. So thank you once again for joining. You can connect with us on LinkedIn and by searching at Energize Black, on Twitter as well, and on Instagram. Um, we also have a QR code for you to scan to join the community if you'd like to. So do that by scanning the QR code on the screen. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. Also, we value your feedback as it helps us improve our sessions and tailoring what we serve to people in our community and people that are wanting to join our community. So please take a moment to fill the feedback form before you leave. It will be shared in the post participant email, but let me just drop it in the chat for people that are here. 1 second.
Mm.
Yeah, there you go. So kindly tell us what you think and also do well to join the community. I promise that it will be a very good one. You get the chance to network with different people at different stages of their career. There's a wealth of opportunities and knowledge that you can gain from joining Energize Black. Awesome. So thank you everybody for joining. Thank you, Amid, again. This was a very insightful one. And we hope to see some of you joining the community or in any of our upcoming events.
Oh, yeah, great to be here and rooting for everybody as you navigate your career as well. Pleasure. Bye.
Bye. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Bye.
I'm getting some questions about getting the recording of this session from Idris and also from Grace in the private chat. Yeah, if you signed up via Eventbrite, you should get an email from us that will include the feedback form and hopefully the link to the recording so that you can access it. But we'll be in touch. Oh, okay. Can you drop me your email personally? All right, got it.